keep an eye on the waiting room in case we get any stragglers. But in the meantime, Pam, I don't know, maybe if you want to just kick things off, that way I can keep an eye on the waiting room and just give a little intro spiel.
Sure.
And we can dive into some slides.
So I'm going to be working on setting up the live and pre-recorded performances and demos. So what does that mean? That's kind of like what it was in real life. And it's going to include the poetry readings. The Red Letter Poets are going to be a part of it this year. I have 2 musicians lined up. We're hoping to get Arlington International Film Fest involved and maybe give a little film. And I have an Irish dancer that I'm hoping will come through. And then I have Anna Ty, who is that really cool embroidery artist from last year. She's going to do a demo, and she's been making a new one, and so that's going to be fun again. And we're going to, the day will start at 11, and it'll go all the way till 5. And the intervals will be a half hour, 45 minutes. It's fluid, it's flexible, it's not hard, like has to be 30 minutes, but roughly half hour to an hour intervals. So, and we'll toggle back and forth between live and pre-recorded, just so that, you know, we can have a break and transition. But that's sort of the overall that I'm working on. And now I'm going to hand it over to Annalise, and she can articulate. She's working on the artist directory and the shop online. So she's going to talk a little bit more to that point.
Yeah, thanks, Pam. So why don't we can just dive right into slides then. So we just have a few slides, a few actual screenshots for you guys too, to see some of the examples of what the online listings will look like, the online market. So I'll go through those. We'll go through some slides. There's some important dates that we want everybody to make note of regarding certain deadlines that we have for you all. So I'm going to do a screen share. And you'll have to forgive me, for some reason my screenshots of the website examples and my slides are not merging nicely together, so we're going to jump back and forth, so I'm sorry to make.
But that won't happen on the day of the event.
No. No, it will not.
We will rule that day.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody can see the first slide that we have is our online artist directory page, and so this is what we've talked to you guys about. Oh, look at this, we've got more waiting people. So we've talked about this with everybody. This is going to be kind of the main landing page for Open Studios. This is an online listing that each individual artist will get. There's going to be kind of a big thumbnail directory of all the different participants, and then when you click on each of the thumbnails on the listing, then you'll actually go to every single artist's directory page, and your directory page includes a header image, it includes your name, it includes a link to your website, as well as a link to your e-commerce pages. I can also link to social media platforms. If people sell through Instagram sometimes, so we could link you to that. And then we also include an artist statement and then a gallery of up to 15 images. And in the coming weeks, you'll all receive a shared folder that'll be exclusive to you and me and Pam. So nobody else will have access to that folder. And through that folder, it allows us to kind of exchange photos back and forth so that you guys can all finalize exactly what you want your gallery to look like. And you'll have until November 1st to be able to kind of refine that. So I'm going to stop sharing this slide for just a moment, and I'm going to open up our visual, which is the examples of, oh wait, hold on. I'm not sure why it's not letting me do this one. Here we go. Okay. So if we go up to this page, this is an example essentially of what the artist directory will look like. There'll be a welcome message, and then there will be the thumbnails. And so you guys will all get to decide what your thumbnails is, and that's how we'll do that through the Google folder. And then this is what a viewer will see. They'll see all the different artist names. Thank you to Patricia Crotty, who's letting us use her as our guinea pig to show off this platform. But visitors will be able to click on each of these thumbnails and expand out into what will become the artist directory page. And you can see how I've mentioned that there's a header image, and you'll all select what that will be. You have all submitted an artist statement to me, so that will be included to the right, you see there, and then below is the gallery image, and you'll be able to kind of toggle back and forth between each of these images. So I know some of us are visual learners, as am I, so sometimes I appreciate the resource being able to have that visual example. And one thing I forgot to mention before we got started is if anybody has any questions as we go and doesn't want to forget them, please feel free to use the chat function, and that'll just kind of create a queue of questions that we'll have at the end. So if anything comes up as we go along, feel free to include that in the chat. And
I'll keep an eye on the chat room for you.
Okay, so let's jump back into our slides. And the next thing we're going to talk about is selling your art. So we touched a lot on this in the info sessions prior to this, but I just wanted to also include it here so that you could see that, of course, your first option for anybody is to sell your art on your own. However, you decide to do that through e-commerce, through, like I said, social media channels. There's no fee to do that except for however your merchant fees are associated with your Etsy page or anything like that. The second option is to show with us, to sell a selection of work through our online artist market. This is kind of our maiden voyage of our online sales platform, and we're excited to be trying it out. And it seems like it's going to be a fairly easy process to get all this content in. So we're offering that, and it's the same commission split as we would have for our exhibitions. So it's a fairly generous split, and it covers all of our sort of associated costs for listing everything. And then I've had a lot of people ask, well, I have an Etsy page, or I have sales capabilities through my website, but I'd also like to support ACA. Can I do both? And absolutely you can. You can choose 10 pieces to sell with us, and then you can sell whatever you'd like on your website. Obviously, we would recommend not double listing, because if something sells in one place and it's still listed in the other place, then that can create some complications in terms of all that.
So you can add 10 pieces here through our gallery to sell, right?
Yes.
But you have 15 images that you can put into your gallery, your tiles on your artist directory.
Yep,
Because that was one of the questions.
They don't have to be the same either. We've had some people ask, can I have 15 images in my gallery, and can I have 10 different pieces listed in your store? And absolutely you can. Some people, I mean, everybody feels a little differently about this, but some people have expressed concern around not having something available for sale that's in the artist directory not also be available for sale in the shop. But you know, everybody's different. Everybody has different preferences around that. So we just kind of want to accommodate that. If in the event we get an inquiry to our website about something listed in your directory, which is just the gallery view of your images, we'll be sending them we'll get the two of you in touch with each other. So it probably won't be facilitated immediately on the 14th, but we'll find a way to get you guys connected. Yeah, and as Pam mentioned, up to 10 pieces. And you'll be receiving an inventory form. It says October 1st. I'm probably going to be able to get it sooner. And then you'll have a couple weeks to put together your inventory, and there'll be directions on how to do that. So let me stop the share again. And I'm going to open up our sample slides again, because I just would like to show you guys a sample of what that looks like. So here would be the market. I just have a couple of, again, Patricia's pieces to show. You can see that there's information to each of our visitors around inquiries and local pickup versus shipping. And then all of the pieces will be listed there. And it's not going to be, you know, each of you are not going to have your own store. It's just going to be the online market. So everybody's going to be listed there together. And I'm looking on the back end to see if there are ways that we can filter it so that you can sort it alphabetically, or sort it by price point, or sort it by, you know, other criteria. So we're still kind of exploring that, but it will, at the very least, we'll have a full list view of everything. And then if somebody were to select one of these thumbnails, it would take them to the store here, and included in that would be, on the left-hand side, you could see the image followed by the title and information on the piece. And then on the right-hand side is that artist statement again that you'll all provide, and a link to your website. So
I do have a question here. If I would like to add more images to my gallery and add an e-commerce site, is the deadline November 1st to include that in the artist directory? I think that's what the question is asking.
Is
And
that
I would
in
say
the
yes.
question? Is that in the chat?
Yeah, it's in the chat. And yeah, and you can choose your lead photo.
Yeah, so the deadline to finalize your directory listing is November 1st. The deadline to finalize your inventory for the store, because it takes more time for us to get everything listed, is October 15th. Just because there's more time that we need for that. If for some reason you need to make an edit, obviously we're happy to make accommodations as things go along, but it gives me more time to get everything listed and have you guys review it and say okay, if it's earlier on in the process.
And like you said
I hope
before,
I answered that correctly. But
you want us to include shipping costs in the cost of the piece. Like
yes, those directions will be included in when we send out the inventory form, that you're going to have to factor shipping into the price listing that you put on, because of just, it's a lot more complicated to ask everybody to submit dimensions of their piece, dimensions of their packaging, weight of their piece, weight of their packaging, XYZ, and it makes it a lot more complicated. So this makes it a little bit more of a streamlined process. And if in the event somebody selects a piece and they select it for local pickup, then that's okay. Then you just,
so can they change images they've already sent to us, and can they also, like, if they want to add something, like they want to be a part of ACA Market and they want to send more images, as long as they do it by the deadlines, depending on what it is, whether it's for the artist listing, which is November 1st, as long as you do it by those deadlines, you can change it up until that time.
totally. Yeah. So Janet, to answer your question, yes, you can change the images you've already sent. That folder is where that will happen. So I'm going to put all the images you've already given me into that folder, just because that's an easy place to start. And then you'll have until November 1st to shift things around, to tweak things, to identify what your header is going to be, and to, just to really refine that and curate that as a collection that you're happy with. And Sarah also asked if I didn't select the ACA Market in my registration, can I still add it in? And of course, nothing is ironclad in how we've done things so far in terms of decisions you've made. If you decide that you want to do something you told me you didn't want to do, that's okay. And if you decide that you don't want to do something you told me you did want to do, that's okay too. We're not gonna.
But the 2 dates that's when the fluidity ends, and it becomes more like those 2 deadlines are when things start to not change as much.
Right. Yeah. Just the deadlines are the things that are hard and fast. Is there a local pickup discount? No, there is not a local pickup discount. The way we see it is, if they do decide to, we will be encouraging local pickup in the sort of directions that we give buyers. But essentially, I think the way we saw it is that it sort of subsidized costs for you if you do have to ship some things and not other things, that it allows for that flexibility for people, and you get a little more money for the piece sale itself. All right, before I move on, I just want to double check if there's any other questions. Lydia just said regarding pricing, she usually includes shipping in the pricing of her work. So
right.
I would
encourage that one.
people. Julie's asking, if someone chooses local pickup, do they pick up at ACA? So we're going to do this sort of case by case. If people are comfortable with, I know in the times of COVID that it's very difficult to, be comfortable with people coming to your home. So if in the event anybody has any uncomfortability with conducting local pickup on their own, or even going to the post office, Pam and I will be flexible in figuring out a way to help you with that. Either bring it to ACA and we'll do the local pickup. We can come to your home if you've sold a few things and you need to do a post office run and don't feel comfortable doing that. Pam or I won't volunteer, Pam. I'll
go. I don't mind doing that. I can't volunteer you. But
one of us.
And we'll sort of have a structure for that too. We'll have a form and a procedure for that piece of it.
So Lydia asked, can we only sell 15 pieces? So actually, Lydia, it's only 10 pieces. You can sell 10 pieces.
It's even less.
Yes, especially because we're up to 55 participants this year. So if all 55 of you decide to sell your work through us, that's 550 pieces that I have to get listed up on our website. So we just want to make it manageable. So 10, I think, is within our capacity and with the deadline that we've set. Okay, So let me just jump back in. We still have a bit. So if there's any other questions on the online market, feel free to put them in the chat and we can jump back into them. But I just want to shift gears now and start talking about the live stream, which is what Pam had kind of already started talking about. All right. All right, so we've done our selling art. And now we're talking about sharing. So there's a few different ways that we can, that we're going to be approaching sharing this year because of sort of everybody's different level of comfortability and because people come at us from all different directions and you know, preferences of how they like to engage with us. So the first way and pretty much the broadest way that everybody can participate in sort of the sharing and engagement portion of Open Studios is with pre-recorded content. And that pre-recorded content will be published to our website. It'll be published to our YouTube channel as well as distributed through our social media platforms, which is our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter. And this pre-recorded content is great because it essentially could come from everybody and it could come in multiples. Somebody could do a demo and a studio tour. They could take photos of behind the scenes of a piece they're working on. They could do, you know, a meditation session. They could do a performance that they're thinking about doing. And it also just, it relieves a bit of the pressure of a live situation. So pre-recorded is great, and pre-recorded will be distributed on the day of the event, but will also live beyond the event, which is kind of nice, so people can come back and revisit things. So we have a deadline of November 1st for getting us that info or that content, and this can be video or it can be photos as well. And then Pam kind of touched on the live stream. So we're actually going to be partnering with ACMI, which is really exciting. I know that during the info sessions prior to the deadline, we had talked about some options of ways that we can do live stream, have everybody kind of together and doing demos, doing discussions, doing talks, doing readings, doing tours, while people can access it and sort of come and go throughout the day, and that you have an established schedule of events. So as Pam said, we're going to have a schedule for the day that's going to be published in advance of the event. So that's why we're going to have October 15th as the deadline for finalizing that, and that'll be included in the deadline slide. But it just gives us enough time to build out the schedule. And this can be, like Pam said, it can be 15 minutes, it can be a half an hour, it can be an hour. I know that we're going to have a lot of Arlington poets. We do that poetry reading every year. That's going to most likely take up a big chunk of time. And so Pam's going to be putting together this schedule and sort of curating it in a way that's got a broad range of participants. And it could also, the really great thing about StreamYard, which is the platform we're going to be using it on, is it's not a software. Nobody has to download it. They'll have a URL and they can just click on it, and they can join the live stream throughout the day. And we can also embed pre-recorded content into that too. So if somebody really would like to be part of the StreamYard streaming, but they don't want to do a live stream, then they can pre-record something and we can fit it into the schedule too. So more information on that. Pam will be kind of reaching out to artists individually to figure out that portion.
So as an artist, we can have, they can send us pre-recorded stuff, whatever they want, photos, videos, demos, whatever, send it to us, and that'll be on the pre-recorded directory. And in addition to that, at the same time, they could also be having all of that happening on their own website and Instagram page and Facebook page. So it could be happening in two different places. So people might see it this way or this way. So you might get more hits that way. Is that correct? Just to clarify.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of the StreamYard platform, is that it also syncs up with all of our other platforms. So we could send people directly to StreamYard, but we could also send people to YouTube and the live stream would be playing, or we could send them to our Facebook page and the live stream would be playing, and it's all connected, and all of the engagement, like all the comments and the likes, those all kind of get collected together in StreamYard, and you can actually see in real time when somebody says, hey, how are you doing that particular technique? Or, you know, there's comments that can be sort of aggregated into into StreamYard, which is really fun. And we're very thankful to ACMI that they are going to be helping us out with that, because it's definitely, I mean, this whole process is new territory for us all, but when we can find opportunities to kind of put our heads together, it's much appreciated. So we're psyched about that element. And I'll put the call out now that if you have something that you really feel strongly about, you'd like to have included in the live stream, get in touch with Pam. But she'll be putting out a call soon just to remind people to get in touch with her, because that schedule is going to fill up really quickly because there's only so much time in the day of the event. Whereas the pre-recorded content, of course, is limitless, which is great. And then the last thing is, it doesn't all have to come through us. We'd actually encourage you all to post things on your own. So use your own social media platforms, use your own email lists, use your own website if you have the tools for it. I know a lot of people are using YouTube Live and YouTube Premiere, which are sort of live in real time things. So those are all options, and we encourage artists to sort of own a bit of this new world that we're all in and post some things on their own. And then we'll give you guys the tools on how to get it connected to the rest of what we're working on that day.
Can they drop stuff into that Google folder if it's pre-recorded?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me think about the best way to do that. I think it probably makes sense to do that, although I don't get notifications. So I would say if you do put a pre-recorded piece into your Google folder, just shoot me an email and let me know, just so I know it's in there. But that, yeah, Pam, that's a great question. I think that's probably the best way.
It's a best.
If that changes, I'll be sure to communicate that to everybody. But
and I'm also going to work on a little cheat sheet of like all the best asked questions or the most asked questions. So it'll all be on one sheet, and you go, like, do we include tax and shipping at the price of a piece? Yes. And it'll just be right there. So you can just look at that sheet and go, oh yeah, that's what we do.
And yeah, exactly. We don't have an FAQ page yet because this is the first time we're doing it. So we're doing the FAQ on the fly. But actually, to clarify that, Janet, you do need to include shipping for each piece, but not sales tax. The website that we use does calculate sales tax on its own, so you don't have to factor that in.
But on their own websites, they have to take care of that.
Yeah, whatever you do on your own is your own deal. But yes, through the online artist market, sales tax will be calculated on the website itself and will be paid for by the buyer. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to jump now to the last slide, which is our important dates slide. And one thing I will note to you all is that one of the dates is already wrong because we had to update something today that didn't make it into my slide changes. So just gonna grab this last slide for everybody. So these are all our important dates. So as Pam mentioned, we have the Arlington Cultural Council, which is part of the Commission for Arts and Culture. We have a grant from them this summer into fall where they're covering the costs of professional development workshops for artists. And so part of the cost of these workshops is being subsidized by the Cultural Council, which we're very thankful for. And it allows us to kind of add another layer of learning and engagement and enlightenment in these crazy times on how to sort of adapt to this virtual setting. So Anna Kuhn, who's an artist and an art consultant, will be doing 3 different workshops coming up. The first one is a week from tomorrow, which is so crazy. It just, when we planned this, it just felt like so far away. And the fact that it's in a week is pretty bananas, but we're super psyched to do that. And you guys all received the RSVP form from me just to make sure that we are accounting for everybody. I'll probably still be sending the email out to everybody in case there's any, schedule changes or anything like that, but I appreciate it gives us a nice head count and to make sure that we're not overflowing the Zoom meeting or webinar with people. So the first one is the 24th, the second one is October 1st, and then the third one, there was a schedule conflict that we just realized this week was going to be very problematic. So we are rescheduling the third session to October 15th at 7 p.m. So same sort of slot in the week, just the following week. So I'll be sending out an email reminder to people I'm going to apologize now for the many emails that you're going to get over the next 2 months from us, but there will be an update will be sent. We just literally changed it a couple hours ago. So October 15th at 7 p.m. will be the Creating Successful in Studio Events workshop with Anna. So then moving on to some of the more nitty-gritty deadlines. The first one listed there is actually a deadline for me to get you all the marketing toolkit that'll include templates and thumbnails and language for you all to use to start promoting. Because again, I would love for the artists to take a bit of responsibility in helping the efforts of marketing this event, especially because of the new nature of it. It's important to let people know we're still here and still creating. And so that'll be shared with you all via Google folder, and it'll include all those different tools that you'll need. And then the rest of these are things we've kind of covered in the details of the slides before, but the deadline for finalizing the live stream schedule is going to be October 15th, because that's actually going to be a public facing document that we're going to be using well in advance of the event to let people know what they can expect, so people can mark their calendars to say, okay, at 4 p.m. I'm going to be seeing Sarah Beardsley doing an artist demo, and I want to make sure I mark that in my calendar. So that's why we need sort of a heads up on or enough advance notice on that. Oh, and I skipped one, sorry. So also on October 15th is going to be when all the inventory forms are due for any artists who are going to be selling with us through the market. November 1st is going to be the folders that you all shared, that I'm going to be sharing with you all. Those images need to be finalized, and you need to identify what your thumbnail is going to be, or excuse me, your header is going to be. And then all your pre-recorded content should also be uploaded to your folder. And then of course the 14th. I hope everybody has that date saved. The beauty of this year is that as much as we're going to have a lot of action happening on the 14th, it is going to be sort of archived and will live beyond the 14th, which is nice. So if anybody for some reason can't join us on the 14th, or they're out of town, there's still a way to access everything, which is kind of one of the bright spots in all of this craziness. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm just checking on our Q&A. So Lydia has asked, it looks like I will be participating from a local art gallery. How does this work? I'm not sure in terms of, maybe Lydia, if you want, I can unmute you, Lydia, and if you want to just clarify.
But the art gallery is going to be a participant in Open Studios as well.
Right. So I'm just trying to, I still can't get around my head. It's like the 10 image is what I'm showing, but not necessarily what I'm selling, because people would go into my website, correct? Or to this gallery, so that in the gallery, I'll be doing live demos, not live showing that people can come, up to 4 people, I think, can go into the store. So is that how it works? Like, like, because the 10 images, I can't get that in my head. I apologize.
That's okay.
That's not the only thing that we're selling. That's the only thing that we're showing. So the idea is to go to our website, correct?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I can make that distinction for you. So on your directory, which is something that every single artist has, no matter how they want to sell their work, everybody has a directory listing. Right. On the directory listing, you can display up to 15 images. But you can also list your website, which people then can click on and go see every single piece of art that you have available virtually. And also in your particular case, and this could be for other people too, that the statement that's included, that written piece of text, could also include a link to say, Lydia will actually be participating in Open Studios live from, and forgive me for not knowing the new name of Kristen's gallery, but live from her gallery space. And then you'll be able to, you could even do a direct link to her website if it's up and running by then. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. And then the online market, that's where the 10 pieces are for sale. Okay. And if you choose not to participate in the online market, then you don't have to worry about that part. But that's just the element of, if you would like to sell your work through ACA, then that's what the 10 pieces are.
I was just wondering, this is one, because again, this is new to everyone.
Yeah.
In the past, when I had Open Studios, normally I only not show in person, but I also created a gallery that it was open studios, so
Mhm.
that people were going, because those are the things that I want to sell, is the stuff that doesn't belong to any serious, in addition to the other stuff that is. So that's kind of what I suggested that people do, that it worked really well.
Yeah,
I announced that folder to my followers, and people do purchase from that. So
that's
that's a
great.
suggestion.
I would also recommend that a great way to sort of translate that virtually this year versus how
Mhm.
you have it always set up at Open Studios is to do a little tour to say, hey everybody,
Right.
here is my at-home gallery set up. Here's all the work that I have available for sale.
Right.
And do a little tour, do a little, Zoom. You can just do it with your smartphone. It doesn't have to be high
No,
production
I agree.
value.
I like that idea. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of what I did in the past. As I said, whatever's in the gallery, and then I'll direct people to that gallery.
Right. Yeah, that sounds great. And I would encourage anybody who's creating either pre-recorded or live content to make sure that in the course of their videos, if they're doing videos, to make sure you say your name, make sure you reiterate what your web address is if you have a website, or your social media handles if you would prefer people go check you out there. Just make sure you're including how people can get in touch with you as they see it, because some of this stuff you're going to be giving to us and then we're going to be putting on our website. So we want to make sure that that circle gets completed and everybody makes it back to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So let me just go back into our question list. Lori has asked if I can resend the RSVP. Absolutely. And Moira has asked if I can send the slides, and absolutely, I would be happy to. Anastasia has asked if the workshops will be recorded if we cannot attend. Yes, all of these, like I said, because people can't make it to everything, we're recording everything. The difference with Anna's content, though, is that it's not going to be a publicly accessible video because it is her intellectual property. We don't want to be distributing that without, compensation for her. So we will be recording it. She's allowed us to record them, and they will be available behind a secure Vimeo, which is just like a kind of like a YouTube, just another platform, and it's password protected. So you'll all be given the password to access those videos, and they'll be available to artists participating in Open Studios until, I think we decided until November 14th, which is the event itself. So you'll have plenty of time to go in and view them. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Feel free to add them into the chat, or also you can just type I have a question into the chat and I'd be happy to unmute you if you'd prefer to ask it that way. Otherwise, how many artists are part of this event? So we have right now, one great thing is we've actually opened up the event to local businesses, local Arlington businesses as well. We have 13 Forest Gallery that's participating. There's Mark waving. We have the Object of Stories is participating. We have the Dallin Museum is participating. Arlington International Film Festival is participating. So we're able to incorporate a lot of organizations as well. So artists specifically, I think we're up to 51 artists, and then the number of organizations actually is growing. So we're at about 4 organizations now, but I anticipate that number is going to get bigger because we've been reaching out to a few other organizations who wouldn't normally, fit themselves into this kind of a thing because we're in one hall and everybody's at their booths, but this virtual nature again kind of opens up the opportunities. So we're happy to have lots of people. Steve Bennett has a question. Let me find Steve.
How many pictures can the Google Drive each of us has? Oh, we already answered that one.
There's Steve. Oh, you're unmuted. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey there. Thanks very much. This is great, and you're doing a wonderful job pulling this thing together. So I have a couple questions. In the original form that I filled out, I said I was only going to be selling on my website. I presume that I could add ACA as well.
Of course.
Okay, so the way that it works on my website is I keep very little inventory, and my website directly connects with Bay Photo. Okay, everything that I do is photographically based, and you place an order and it just shoots right over to them, and I just collect the money. It takes about a week to 10 days, depending on whether it's metal or print or frames. Okay. Yep. So are you providing like receipt guidelines for ACA. If someone buys something, is there an expectation of when they'll receive it? If I have it in inventory, then I can ship it, they can pick it up, or whatever you're going to work out.
Yep.
But if it's something that doesn't exist or it's been sold, then I need that 7 to 10 days. Is that within the bounds of what
It
you're
is,
doing?
absolutely. Yeah, so we've actually given everybody a nice big cushion, and we've said 7 to 14 days. Everybody can expect their work between 7 and 14 days, just because, you know, again, these are
Great.
crazy times, and we want to give everybody as much cushion to make it
Fantastic.
happen.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, that was easy. Let's see, Roy has asked how many pictures can be in the Google Drive each of us has. So 15 photos is what the final count will be, Roy. And that is because 15 photos is what we can allow in the website gallery. So you can have up to 15 photos included in there. I guess you could put more in there if you wanted to, but you'd have to identify the 15 that you would like us to post in your gallery. And one thing to note too is that we'd like to lend everybody the convenience of updating their gallery if they'd like. Obviously, the November 1st deadline allows us to get the galleries actually up and running by the 14th. So that's a hard deadline for that. But if for some reason, you know, later in November after the event is passed, or even into December, because these listings will be available into December, you're welcome to shoot Pam or I an email to say, hey, I'd really like to change out a couple images. Would you mind doing that? Because that volume is a lot less for Pam and I, that if I get one email where somebody wants to change out a couple photos after the event's over, then we can easily change those out, because we'd like everybody to have a fresh listing if they have new stuff that they've been working on and want to have that convenience. So just to clarify.
And that goes through December 31st, correct?
Yes, did I say something else?
No, you didn't say what day, you just said December, so.
Yes, sorry, end of the year, last day of the year is when this will all come down. Any particular size and specs for photos? No, not particularly. So I can kind of format them based on the gallery image. Everything formats into a square, but when you click on it, it expands to whatever the dimensions are that your images are. In terms of resolution, I always recommend 300 DPI because I can use it for print and digital marketing as we start to sort of ramp up promotions. But other than that, no, we're trying to be as flexible as we can with how people do their listings. So as long as it's at a good resolution and that it's not teeny tiny, that's the goal. Okay, so again, I'll type these in. You guys have them and then some, but I'm just gonna put them in here anyway. These are Pam and my emails. If anything comes up, oops, I'm typing the wrong email. If anything comes up between now and the next time that we all get together, feel free to shoot either of us an email and we'd be happy to answer things for you. I hope everybody will be able to join us on the 24th, which is a week from tomorrow. Anna will be leading the charge and talking to us about selling your art online. So those of you who are looking to explore selling your art online for the first time this year, she's a wealth of information, and I think it's gonna be a really wonderful experience for all of us, and I'm excited to enjoy it too. I see Roy has a question. Let me see if I can.
Thank you so much. For the resolution,
Yeah.
just went through this with some portfolio reviews. The 300 DPI, we also have to specify like a PPI, like, so would like 2000 PPI on the long side of a photo be about right? That's what they recommended.
Yeah, that works for me in terms of the pixel size. I mean, that's a pretty big image because we're just using it mostly for web. But I won't be upset if it's that high of a dimension, a pixel dimension.
Okay.
That's good for me. If anybody has any concerns about it, you can always send me an email with the photo and I can say, yes, this will work, or no, this won't work.
All right, thanks. Great job. This is very interesting and new to me, so I'm learning a lot.
Well, thanks, Roy. Yeah, this is interesting and new to us all.
So I think that's why I'm going to write up a cheat sheet list, and just based on all the information we've talked about in the last couple sessions, and run it by Annalisa again, and then email that out to you this week, so that it'll kind of like crystallate all the stuff that we've been talking about, because there's a lot of stuff being thrown at you. And I kind of need a paper where I can look at it and kind of remind myself, oh, it's 15 images that I send in. Oh, it's no, it's only 10 for this one. Oh, that's the deadline. And it's this Thursday. So that's what
we'll be
that's
in constant communication with you all, which I'm sure you're so excited about, to be receiving regular emails from Pam and I.
Yes, you are. You love having emails from us.
But I mean, we're so appreciative of everybody's participation this year and going with the flow. It's going to be such a different fall in so many different ways. And so to be able to find a way to adapt and still make this event work and support all of you and your colleagues across Arlington and beyond. So we're happy to have this resource available still. And we're psyched to be able to include a broader range of participants this year with all the local businesses too. So,
and that'll just help us when we're back to live open studios, and maybe we can still incorporate some of the stuff we've learned during this interesting time.
Totally.
So.
I think some of these new practices we're adapting to this year we'll find are actually really wonderful permanent tools for helping promote this event and promote all of you guys. So excited to keep diving in this year. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to Pam or I if questions come up. We're all in this together. So in the meantime, thank you so much. Feel free to shoot us an email if you have questions, and hopefully we'll see you guys all next Thursday to hang out with Anna Kuhn. Okay.
Thanks, Annalise. Thanks, Pam.
Well, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.